Stanley's out. Is Stanley really out? Could you kill Stanley that easy?
So I'm going to say they came onto this. Is that a Stanley? What is the P in Pinterest?
The P in Pinterest doesn't stand for Pinterest. We do a lot of volume plays. What we do too little of in consumer marketing is... What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Whale Informed, where puns come to die and we make fun of billionaires. Ethan, what are we talking about today?
All right, today we're going to talk about MrBeast restocking shelves, hostage tape. What does the P in Pinterest stand for? Then we're going to go into a little bit of rapid fire, and then we're going to wrap things up with the Johnologue, where we're going to talk about Ridge Wallet and Marquez Brownlee.
Dope. And also, the Whalies is coming up. It's an awards show for the e-commerce industry for physical product brands that sell their stuff online. And it's also it's just an event, amazing event. Gonna be like 500 people there, something like that. Voting is now live. So you can go to the link in the description and you can vote for best brand, fastest growing brand, best ad campaign, that kind of stuff. So yeah, hit the link in the description for that and get your votes in. All right, Ethan, let's talk about MrBeast.
All right, let's do it. So our first free-flowing conversation topic is going to be MrBeast restocking shelves. And to rewind things a little bit, last week we talked about how MrBeast relaunched his Feastables brand, but not on e-commerce, just in retail. And this week we saw a lot of tweets from him showing how he was restocking some of those shelves and how everything is going so far. This is a tweet that came from him. And he was talking about a lot of things, but one of the things is that there's some of these stores that he saw that weren't actually selling any items. And so he went to those stores and saw that there was stuff in the back of the stores. And he really got into the weeds. John, did you see some stuff about this as well?
Yeah. I mean, I saw MrBeast tweets, which reach a lot of people. This is interesting because basically I think what he said, in one of his tweets was that he has a lot of promotional stuff planned, but he doesn't want to send people to stores if the product isn't going to be out on the shelves. I think this is a classic like MrBeast overestimation of himself, where he's like, oh yeah, I want the Walmart executives to know that this is going on, and then I'm going to send people flood into their stores as soon as they can get these these restock cycles better. And at the end of the day, one, they just can't, because like you can't make a minimum wage employee like do something faster than the SOP says to do it. And two, like, look, MrBeast is big, but a lot of people already go to Walmart. Like, are we talking about like hundreds, thousands of net new customers per day per Walmart location? No, probably not.
Do you think that he might have made a mistake by going straight into retail, or do you think this is just growing pains that he's going to have to go through either way?
I wonder if, so I don't know the details of the deal.
Right.
I wonder if he maybe made if he made a good deal with like Walmart, 7-Eleven, some of his retailers, where he basically said, I won't sell online anymore. I'll sell exclusive through retail if you place certain XYZ sized orders or something like that, then no, I don't think it was a mistake at all. I think retail penetration is ultimately the game in food and beverage, and especially in something like chocolate. It's not a better for you product, it's just chocolate. So no, I don't think that was a mistake if that's what it was. But if it wasn't that, then maybe, at least online, you can control that there's inventory available.
Totally. And I think he made the right decision by jumping straight into retail, since he hadn't really explored that avenue too much yet. But I do think there will become a point where he goes back into e-commerce as well and does the omni-channel play. Because I know there's a lot of big brands that either start in retail or start in e-commerce, and now they do both, because there are benefits to both. So I know everybody was up in arms last week about him going straight into retail, but I think he just needs to focus his energy there for now. And I think he will come back and do both at some point. That's my prediction, at least.
Yeah. I mean, we covered it last week. Chocolate, retail's the right place to sell chocolate. It's hard to ship. It's got to be one of the hardest things to sell direct to consumer out there, because it's going to melt, it's going to break, all the things. So yeah, no, I mean, retail's the right move for chocolate, but yeah, he's not going to make Walmart and Target and 7-Eleven stock it faster,
Totally. All right. Next here, I saw this tweet this week and I just want to read it to you. So let me get this straight. These bros took standard Breathe Right strips, made them black, gave them a cool name, went hard on podcasts while running ads with fitness bros. I'm not knocking it. I'm genuinely impressed. It's wild what you can do with an existing product while finding a new audience for it. And they're talking about hostage tape. And for background, if you don't know what hostage tape is, they actually launched with like strips to go over your mouth for
Yeah.
mouth breathers to help them sleep at night. And now they offer nose strips as well. Those are their two main products. But essentially, what this guy is saying, like, this stuff existed before. They just
Yeah.
relaunched it, made it a little bit cooler, and he's not even knocking it. He's like, "This is awesome." And we highlighted this part of the tweet because I think he has a really interesting point here on what a brand, like, it doesn't have to be a completely new idea. It's almost a new take on an already proven product.
I mean, it started out as tape for your mouth. Like, you could just duct tape your mouth. You could use, there's like lots of kinds of tape that you could use to tape your mouth shut at night. You don't need hostage tape to do it. But they sort of like went with this angle of, it's the same thing that ice bath or plunge has done. Like, plunge isn't anything special. It's a tub. It's a tub that cools water for you, right? Like, put ice in it. But what they've done is they've just decided to like convince you that you should get in it every day and it'll make your life better. And that's exactly what hostage tape has done. It's like, they've just been like, use this product they've positioned their product as the guide to a better life, even though the product itself is not innovative at all. I think it
Right.
is pretty smart. And it honestly is like, Bart, this is the founder, I think, of Dad Gang. And Dad Gang isn't an innovative product. It's just hats. They're just hats with like a cool design that really appeals to a certain kind of person. Right. And so that's it. It's like, you're just positioning a simple product that people already use as a guide to sort of a better life or a community that they want to be involved with or an identity that they want.
That makes a ton of sense. And a lot of times when brands launch and when it's a completely new brand and a completely new product, you have to figure out how to prove the product and the
Yeah.
market. But like when you do something like hostage tape, you know that product's already proven for a market at one point, and now you're almost just
Yeah.
pivoting it in a way to a new market. But it's less that you have to figure out. And two other brands that are top of mind for me for this are the Create gummies this year, which
Yeah.
creatine gummies, creatine very proven supplement, new format, new market, and then another one is dude wipes actually, because those are literally just baby wipes,
They're just
but
vibes.
for a new audience of dudes.
So story time. Back when I was first getting started in e-commerce, when you're kind of first getting starting as a marketing agency or freelancer, you kind of take whatever work you can get. Like, you would love to be picky about it and be like, oh, I only work with the Dad Gangs of the world and the dude wipes of the world. But that's just not how it works. You got to work with whoever has a product to sell and is willing to pay you to help them. And I was working with this brand that sold sunglasses, and they were wood sunglasses, which was on trend at the time, but they were not the only ones selling wood sunglasses. And theirs were like $80, and you could get wood sunglasses for like $30 at a gas station at this point. And so I had to figure out a way to sell these wood sunglasses. And there's not a lot of ways to sell sunglasses. It's just like, here they are. Here's how they look on your face. Do you like them? So what we started to do is we kind of flipped it and we said, oh, what if these aren't wood sunglasses? What if these are sunglasses for surfers? Because they float, right? What if these are
Yeah.
sunglasses for wakeboarders? Because they float. And then we just kind of looked for more little things like that, where we just said, like, what are other things people do on the water? Because these float. Or what's another thing, that we can, it's really light. Is there something there? These are sunglasses for, I don't know, people who need light sunglasses. So we just looked for activities. We said, oh, these kinds of sunglasses, there's lots of wood sunglasses out there. These are the ones for surfers. And in actuality, it wasn't any different. Same thing as hostage tape. Is it different than any other kind of tape? Not really. This is just the tape you use to be more healthy and get better sleep.
Well said. Well said. All right. For the last conversation in this opening segment, I want to talk about Pinterest with you. And to kick this off, before I tell you what I want to tell you, I want to ask you, if we look at the last 30 days of Triple Whale brands and we look at all of the ad spend, what percentage of that ad spend do you think was spent on Pinterest as a platform?
I take calls with Triple Whale customers like every week, like dozens of calls, a couple dozen calls, maybe not that many, 10 to 20 calls. I have had one in the last 2 months that had any kind of significant spend on Pinterest. And by significant, I mean it was like 10% of their budget. And most of them are just not spending on Pinterest at all. So based on that, I'm going to say maybe like of all the ad spend across all e-com brands that we have insight into, Pinterest makes up less than 1% of the advertising spend.
Exactly. So right now they make up 0.5, 0.5%. But the thing is that they are aware of that. They are aware that they are not a big player in this area right now, and that seems to be a big focus. So the first of the two things I want to tell you is that they recently announced a partnership with Google, a new ad deal. And I think a key reason for this partnership is they're aiming to ramp up their ad revenue, and they want to lean into Google's network and some of their proven model to start to improve that accuracy and that return so people start to spend more. But the second thing related to this is they actually started an entirely new ad campaign related to this as well, on it called like what is the P in Pinterest. So if you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen real
quick. The P in
quick.
Pinterest doesn't stand for Pinterest? I thought it just
I guess not. It doesn't stand for 0.5 either.
Yeah.
Pinterest presents High Action Power Funnel.
There's no visibility. It's a conversion result. What else would we be talking about? I don't know, but now Pinterest has more than 30 major measurement partners, so you can see conversions clear as day. Are we nearly there yet? I will turn this snowmobile around.
Pinterest, the P's for performance.
Oh. I think the P in Pinterest is for performance.
For performance now.
Okay. That? What was your question?
I wanted to know if that's what you expected from an ad from Pinterest.
No, that was an ad. This seemed a little high budget. Seemed like a little much. You know what I mean? It was a little extra, as you kids say.
It was a lot for sure, but I think it's a really interesting push for them. They're starting to lean more into these partnerships, and I think maybe last year they had a partnership announced with Amazon as well, but they're starting to lean more and more into these partnerships, and now they've invested a lot into a campaign. This is just one of the 4 segments that are going to run around that campaign to start to push this. And I think they're probably going to target Pinterest customers and brands that could advertise on Pinterest. And I'm curious to see how that 0.5 in terms of ad spend, percentage of ad spend evolves throughout this next year. And if the results show and they do get more effective, I think brands will start to lean into them more.
I mean, more than other platforms, they do actually have potential because people save things that they want there. So they save physical products, items that they want there. You know, if you're redecorating your house, or you're doing a remodel, or you're whatever, like planning a wedding, Pinterest is like a really, like those are those kind of event moments where you're making some big purchase decisions. Pinterest is high user, like there's more users during those big moments. So maybe more so than other social platforms, Pinterest does actually have a shot at becoming significant. They just don't have enough volume of users, in all honesty. Like it can't be that much of your ad spend because there's just not enough people there.
That's true. That is a very good point. So I wonder if they'll lean into that more and try to grow their audience as well. You're right. You need the feel to fuel the engine for the ads engine. So just improving the engine is one piece of it, but the people are the huge other piece of it.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So that concludes the first free-flowing section. Now let's transition into rapid fire. John, I believe you have something for me to kick off this section.
Rapid fire. All right. Yep. So Coinbase is going to have to figure out how to put a moving QR code on a box of liquid death. So we've been talking about this. Liquid Death auctioned off space, at like an ad space on their boxes as a publicity stunt during the Super Bowl, and they just barely announced that Coinbase was the winner. We originally thought it was Dude Wipes. Coinbase is the winner, and the QR code reference is obviously their Coinbase's Super Bowl ad where they just put a bouncing QR code on the screen. What do you think about this? Is the ad space just going to be one big QR code?
I don't think, my guess is that it will not be a QR code. I think they're going to play into Liquid Death's marketing. They released a statement around this on why they bought it. They said they love new ways of doing things, including marketing. They respect innovative brands like Liquid Death, and it was a really good deal, which we know Liquid Death was playing into in their marketing. So I'm hoping they get creative with it. I was really excited for Dude Wipes. I thought they were going to lean into it well. So I'm a little bit disappointed, but I'm curious to see what Coinbase comes up with. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm curious too how many eyeballs they'll actually get on it. Because I know Liquid Death claimed that X amount of people come through the stores. It's going to be a lot of eyeballs, but I'm curious to see what the effectiveness of this is and how it plays out throughout this year.
They said 200 million. I think best case scenario, it's maybe 50 million and probably more likely like 10 million. But we'll see how it works out. Coinbase is a company that can afford to pay a little more to acquire a customer.
Right.
What else we got?
All right. So next up, the first Neuralink chip has been implanted in a living human, and Neuralink is claiming that you can now, like this person can now operate a computer or smartphone simply by thinking about moving. So simply by using their mind, they can fully operate a computer. Pretty wild stuff. And I know they're going to start to roll this out to more people throughout this year. They're going to focus on people with disabilities first, but let's just say you had the option to do this. What do you think about this? Would you consider getting one implanted? What do you think about all this?
I mean, look, if I don't want to just be able to operate a computer, like if you're going to put a chip in my brain, I want to be like can I get a superpower with that, please? Like I want to be like telekinetic or be able to read people's minds or something. That would be way better. I think I would if the official. I mean, this is only for people with disabilities at the moment, and that's great. I think, in all seriousness, if you were like crazy efficient, like far more efficient, because ideally you could be far more efficient operating any kind of device with this, then there'd be a pretty serious case for it for a developer or something like that.
Totally. I agree. And knowing they're starting with people with disabilities, it makes sense that if someone can't use their hands, now they can with their mind. But I'm curious to see how this evolves as well. All right, John, what do you have next?
Okay, so the NFL, the VP of marketing for the NFL, her name is Marissa Solis. She was on a podcast called the CMO Whisperer podcast. Among other things, she said that marketers, even for the NFL, can't create pop culture. Pop culture is something that just happens, but the NFL marketing team is ready to capitalize on opportunities at any time. I think this was an interesting statement given the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce romance that happened. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think a lot of people may hear this and think that she's alluding to the fact that, hey, maybe it was scripted after all, and she's trying to say that it wasn't scripted. But I think she brings up a really good point. I do not think this was scripted, but I think the NFL capitalized on it extremely well. And I know just from my sample size of friends, my girlfriend and a ton of her friends paid way more attention to the NFL than in prior years. And it started with just watching Taylor Swift. Then it evolved to asking questions, learning about the game, caring more about other games as well. So I think this was an awesome way of capitalizing on a huge opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's I think that creating pop culture, it's kind of like training a lion, right? Like you can teach it to do some stuff, right? You can do some stuff that might help create pop culture, but ultimately, that some bitch it's a wild animal. Like people are gonna take it wherever they're gonna take it. What else we got?
All right, so Reddit this week announced a big deal with Google, making its content available to train their AI models for around 60 million a year. So I'm curious, is this a sign that data for AI is the new gold? Or is this just a revenue play pre-stock market launch for Reddit? I know there's been a lot of rumors about this. What are your thoughts?
I think that this is a precedent that is being set specifically for publishers. Because if you think about it, if you're the New York Times, or any kind of People magazine or whatever, like what use do you have anymore, right? If all of your data and everything you publish is just open for AI, but then AI needs the content as well. So I think at this point, it's gotten very, very hard for publishing companies to make any money. And so like, this is just their way of being like, we got to get a bag when it's available. I think it's good. I think that it's good that we're setting a precedent that AI models have to license things like name, likeness, and image and content that's proprietary and stuff like that. So no, I think overall it's good. I think Reddit is just kind of leading the charge there. I don't think it's a play for their IPO.
All right. I think you got something next.
Yep. So Stanley Cups, I guess, are about to get sent to the back of the cupboard with the Nalgene bottles and the Yetis. You're probably too young to remember the Nalgene bottles, but
I had a Nalgene bottle. I had a Nalgene.
yeah. So the drinkware game it's a harsh mistress. You know, you'll be trending one day and in the back of the cupboard the next day. Stanley Cups are hot right now. But I did see a piece of content this week that says, if you want to know what's going to happen in the water bottle game, you got to follow the nurses. So apparently the nurses are the trendsetters in the water bottle game, and the nurses have potentially moved on to a different water bottle, and Stanley's out. What do you think? Is Stanley really out? Could you kill Stanley that easy?
I think yes, I'm going to say. They came onto this. Is that a Stanley you're drinking out of?
This is knockoff Stanley.
Knockoff Stanley, close enough. But they came onto the scene fast, and it feels like they took over everything. But as you just said, the water bottle scene is something that fluctuation changes a lot throughout time.
Yeah.
And nurses, always on their feet, drinking a ton of water, super health conscious. They're probably at the forefront of that. They're probably the ones that started the Stanley trend as well. So I do think Stanley can be dethroned. And I do think that even though they have a huge market share, it's not everybody. I know I don't have a Stanley over here either. So
you still rocking the Nalgene over there or what?
I have a Thermo.
Okay.
Got a rubber bottom, not bad.
Yeah. Apparently, tech employees are not the people to follow into the water bottle trends. You got to follow the nurses. What else we got?
Okay. All right. So Target just launched a new discount brand called Dealworthy. There's like almost 400 items included in this, starting at $1. Most of them are less than $10. I think Target had their own brand before too, called Up and Up, but this is a more an even cheaper version of that. And I think they're very conscious that budget shopping is becoming a bigger and bigger thing. So they're really trying to lean into that trend.
This is not how people use Target, right? Like people go to Target for an experience. Like if you walk into a Target, you want to be sold some stuff that you don't need. Like you went in there for the atmosphere. You went in there to see a bunch of red all over the walls and, buy a freaking cabinet that you're not going to ever install in your house. Like that's what Target is. So maybe it's just it's supposed to be a loss leader to be like, so people will be like, oh yeah, we need to go there and get this because now they have the best prices on this. And then they just know that their store is like one big funnel that is just designed to maximize order value.
There's something unique about Target where people embrace I was going to Target expecting to spend $50 and I accidentally spent $200, and they love telling that story. So I think this will either get more people in the door to do that, or it's going to completely disrupt that. And someone's going to come in for the budget shopping, only shop the budget, and it could. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's definitely an interesting.
It's hard for me to imagine that that's even possible at Target. It would have to be a whole other different demographic of customers, which I guess is possible, but I just don't think it's possible at Target. You go in there and you spend half a day and you buy a bunch of stuff you don't need. That's how it works. All right, last thing. Taco Bell is using Apple style keynote speeches to make what I would call hilariously small announcements, like the fact that they're going big on chicken this year. It's pretty clearly a parody of the tech industry. If you watch the video, Ethan, what do you think about this? Is this funny or is this a miss?
So I'm personally a big Taco Bell fan. Big Taco Bell guy. And I think if there's any restaurant brand that could pull something like this off, it's Taco Bell. And for a reason that you might not think. So Apple does these keynotes and people are super passionate about the products. They have a cult following almost. Taco Bell also has a cult following. People are also super passionate about the products. People love crunch wraps. So I think it's awesome. And I'm personally excited. I think they're leaning heavily into chicken this year. So I'm going to get the Cantina chicken burrito soon. But I love it.
Big chicken year for Taco Bell. They're not usually leaning heavy into chicken. They're always big on chicken. No, it's good. It's funny. I think I am for brands taking a swing on something.
Agree. Next, we're going to move into the Johnologue, and to tee up this section, I'm going to share this. So this is something that we saw from Sean Frank, who is the head of Ridge Wallets in August of last year. Yeah. So August, 2023.
CEO
I'm going to read the
Ridge
tweet.
Wallet. Yes.
CEO of Ridge Wallet. And he said, I'm offering a $1 million contract to a content creator to come in-house at Ridge. What does this mean? What's the catch? How do I apply? Here's the scope. So he announced this then. It got a ton of traction on Twitter. And actually just this morning, right here, we saw the follow-up to this where they announced that Marques Brownlee, huge tech review YouTuber, he's really ascended beyond that at this point.
He's the biggest tech reviewer, I think, at least in the United States.
Totally agree. They announced that he's becoming an equity partner, a board member, and the chief creative partner at Ridge Wallet.
Yeah.
This is pretty wild. John, what are your initial thoughts?
So initially when I saw this, I thought that maybe this was the fruition of that August 2023 tweet, and that Marques was being hired as the creative director at Ridge, which that is mega wild. Like I would have been shocked if even with $1 million contract and equity in Ridge Wallet, Sean, they could attract a creator like Marques. They could attract a different creator, even one that's pretty big, but not Marques. So that was my initial reaction. I think the thing to note that's important here is that he is an equity investor. The details of that have not been released. Like I cannot find whether he actually put money in to buy equity. What's clear is that he has some kind of stake. We don't know how big it is. And he's a board member. I didn't know that Ridge had a board. Maybe they created a board so that Marques could be on it. I don't know. And then chief creative partner, which means I think there is probably basically just an ongoing creative partnership with Marques. This isn't really that crazy because Ridge has been doing product integrations with Marques Brownlee since I think 2020. When Marques got the new Tesla truck, the Cybertruck, and reviewed it, Ridge was the product integration and title sponsor of that video. You can see Ridge Wallet's bags in that video. That one I have some insight into. I know that the price for that, I won't say the exact because I don't have permission to disclose that. I know the price for that was a few $100,000. It was between $200,000 and $500,000 just for that one product integration, because I was looking at it for a different brand that is a semi-competitor to Ridge in sort of a different, little bit different lane. And Ridge went ahead with it. So I think that they've done a lot of integrations with Marques. So I think what this ultimately amounts to is basically just a long-term deal with Marques Brownlee where he'll promote them in several videos, maybe do some ad content for them, and act in an advisory role. I think this is similar to what we see in tech where, when OpenAI launched, I think Elon Musk was on the board, right? If you have a following, you get put, or if you have a following or a reputation or some kind of advantage to the company, you get equity and you get put on the board because you have visibility. So you can help them get their first batch of users, their second batch of users, their seed funding, their Series A funding, right? So I think that's essentially what this is that Marques is just being paid by Ridge in equity and in dollars for the visibility that he has. There's no precedent for this in consumer. There is precedent for this in tech. So I think it's cool that sort of a brand that's on the edge of consumer and tech and a creator who's on the edge of consumer and tech is doing. I think that's really cool. I also think that there is practical application for this across e-commerce. Right now, we do this thing in e-commerce where we try and create very scalable ways to make creatives. So I'm going to source 200 creatives from 200 different UGC creators or influencers or micro influencers, or I'm going to seed a whole bunch of micro influencers. And what I've seen actually work really well instead is finding those few people who are really into the product and are real evangelists for the brand and actually just hiring them, right? Whether that means paying them $2,000, $3,000 a month to make some organic posts and some ads for you, or that means hiring them as your social media director, or that means a deal like this. I think that works a lot better because then you can create that feedback loop with them of here's the content that performed well, here's the content that didn't perform well, and they take a creative approach to it. What we do too little of in consumer marketing is ideation. We do a lot of volume plays, like let's push out volume, let's optimize for volume, and we don't put enough emphasis on generating great ideas. And that's what content creators have trained themselves to do. So I think that this is a great precedent. I think that there's practical application across the board here. I think other e-commerce brands should follow and create their own versions of this with content creators. I don't think most can swing this big, and I don't think most should try to swing this big. But overall, I'm a fan of this kind of partnership, and this is something that I've been advising brands to do for a while.
Love that. You said that very well. I want to show you, to follow up on that, I want to show you this tweet from Sean where he said, creator brands are the future. People buy from people. Ridge needs to learn how to navigate this new world. And that's a huge reason they did this. So I really think this hits on the head.
Yeah.
What you just said. And by partnering, and I even think just like Marquez's insight is going to go a very long way in this partnership, but partnering with one of the best creators in the game, getting that insight and knowing how to continue to grow a brand through the eyes of a creator. And I think they'll be able to break through, because good creative, growing the brand through that hits in a way that nothing else does.
Well, and if you think about it, Ridge Wallet, they sell a commodity, they sell a wallet. For a while, the product was very innovative because it was the first to really do minimal wallets. Now everybody's doing minimal wallets. So the product isn't differentiated at all. It is continually harder and harder for someone like Ridge Wallet to acquire customers at a reasonable cost. So they've got to be the ones to innovate in this space. I think that what this represents is a way better way of doing creator-led brands. So you have Feastables that is started by MrBeast. Chamberlain Coffee started by Emma Chamberlain, right? This is an already proven successful brand partnering with a proven successful creator and bringing him in as like a partner and making it public that he's a partner in this brand, so that it's like, you know, imagine Prime was already successful before they partnered with like Logan Paul and KSI. That's the right Paul brother, right?
Yeah, Logan. Yeah.
Logan Paul and KSI. Imagine Prime was already successful before that. They're already successful. And then the partnership happens. That's what this is. So I think this is like the powerhouse way to do a creator-led brand, and like spinning up brands from scratch is going to be harder and harder. And I think that's kind of the way for the top 0.1% of creators. This is the way that a lot of the creator middle class can capitalize on the e-commerce world and the consumer market world, and the way that consumer markets, especially ones that sell commodities and have a hard time differentiating themselves, can separate themselves from the crowd as well.
I think you might have to drop the mic after that one. That was great. I feel enlightened after hearing you say that. I think you said it very well.
It was a true Johnologue. I talked for a minute.
A true Johnologue.
On
that note, I think that's episode 4.
I think that's it.
Is that it?
That's all the things. Go away now.